Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Yes, a bit of a later upload tonight, as you'll notice. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I thought today I'd sit down and I'd try my best to honestly speak about one of the biggest pieces of division I've seen over the last few weeks on social media in regards to Celtic. And that is the striker situation. We're going to try and talk about both Kyogo and Georgios Giakoumakis in this video, because there has been some baffling opinions, I think, since Celtic have returned from the World Cup break in regards to the strikers. Some that I have struggled to comprehend and I just can't wrap my head around. So I'm going to speak honestly in this. I'm going to give my 2 cents to the two strikers and the situation they appear to find themselves in. I honestly think that we have created a mountain out of a molehill here, and that you'd think that we're the ones 9 points behind when you look at some of the comments in regards to our 2 strikers at the moment. So let's talk about some of it. Okay, make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would be much appreciated. We're heading into the Christmas weekend now, so one thing I want to address straight away, and I know this is a bit off topic, but in case you're wondering, I did promise a podcast this week. There is no podcast this week. It should have been from the podcast studio tonight, actually, but as you'll see, we're here. Well, I'm here. It's just me. No McGinley, no Callum, no Kieran. I've been a bit under the weather today. I couldn't fathom leaving the house. I still can't really, to be honest. I think I've picked up a bug of some sort. So, you know, it's been in here, just scrolling through my phone and observing what has been mass hysteria, I would say, on social media. Look, everyone is entitled to their opinion as a football fan, as a Celtic fan, absolutely. But I thought I'd come up here and make a video in regards to some of the opinions I've been reading all day on social media, in relation to our 2 strikers, because I feel like some people have lost the plot a little bit when we talk about these 2 magnificent players that we have. Now, both situations and both players have very different discussions around them at this moment in time, but I feel like it's created a real big division amongst the Celtic fans on social media, and maybe it's just because we've been starved of football for the past month. You know, we haven't played, you know, particularly well since coming back from the World Cup. We're still getting back into the swing of things, but I don't know what the exact reasoning is, but we're talking about 2 players here who were fundamental in the winning the league last season, in the position we are right now. 2 of the biggest contributions to goals in our team, and the way that some folk are talking about, especially Kyogo, you'd think that they're useless and they're done and they shouldn't be anywhere near the team, and I've just found it pretty baffling, to be honest. So I wanted to sit here for a wee bit and just talk about both players, both situations, and give my sort of opinion to it. And ultimately, I want to see your guys' opinions. I want to read the comments, and I want to see what people are thinking right now, because I don't know if it is just a Twitter problem and a reaction there, or if it is one that kind of resonates throughout the support at this moment in time. I think you'd be lying to yourself and saying that we don't need another striker at the club. It'd be nice to see one more option come in. I think in the Champions League games we realised that we might need someone who's maybe more clinical in certain situations, but to suddenly rubbish, and especially once again Kyogo, and saying that he's not good enough to play for this team, the amount of folk I've been saying that is blows my mind. So let's talk about both players. Right, first things first, can I just say, this is one thing that I think I've tried to make evidently clear in my videos for the longest time, and one thing I just want to reiterate right now, that I don't think there has to be this thing at Celtic where we are one or the other. It's either Kyogo or Giakoumakis. Both are great players. We should be supporting both, and I think the majority of folk do. This doesn't apply to, you know, every Celtic fan, absolutely not. I'm sure there's a lot of people who'll be watching this video who are like-minded and they think the same things as me. But there's this problem that's arose, I think, especially on platforms like Twitter, where people are either one or the other, and it has to be one or the other. It can't be both. And when one starts, it's a crime the other one isn't. I don't think that has to be the case. We're looking at 2 players here who, when have their chances, you know, 9 times out of 10 take their chances, and when they don't, the other one's ready to come off the bench and grab theirs. And that's worked incredibly well for Celtic since the takeover from Ange Postecoglou. And I think that these problems are always exaggerated. And I say problem, it's not even a problem. I think these situations are always exaggerated when we aren't scoring 4 or 5 goals a game. Because we've won the last 2 games by a slim margin, and because the performances haven't quite been there, suddenly it's became an issue that folk are battling online to suggest that one is far greater than the other. Now, I have a preference. My preference is Georgios Giacomakis. I've never had that. I've always preferred Gigi over Kyogo. Why? Because he's more of a me player. I like the style of him. I like what he does. I think he brings a different dimension to the team. But that is not to say that Kyogo isn't amazing. Kyogo is someone that many folk, including myself, have uttered the words maybe the best since Larsson. And when he's not scoring goals, and suddenly he's not good enough to be in the team. But the problem is people are so committed to one side of it that when the other isn't firing, they're suddenly not good enough. And that is a toxic attitude to hold, I think. And it's really just tiring to see some of the same opinions over and over again on social media. These are both players who've scored double digits since joining Celtic, and they're very, very close to each other in terms of goals have scored for Celtic. And people are, entitled to have their favourite, but we should be supporting both, and we should be happy when either two start, I think. That's one thing that's always sort of baffled me. So let's start with Kyogo. Because I think this is someone who has came under very harsh criticism over the past few games. Although I will admit I can understand some of it. I think it's important, and I've always made one thing evident in my channel as well, that I think that highlighting criticisms and being critical of players, no matter how good you're playing, is always important. And you should always be critical. You can always do better. And Kyogo can certainly do better. We know that. Over the past couple of games, he struggled. He scored last night. I'm glad that he did. But I think that we have seen a lot of wasted opportunities, a lot of maybe just a shadow of the player that we know and love. However, what annoys me with this Kyogo Furuhashi situation is, the fact is, if he goes out and scores a hat-trick in the next couple, or even if he scores against Rangers on that derby game on the second, the same people who are saying that he's just not good enough are the same people who will be calling him the best since Larsson when he does get a big goal in a big game. This is someone who's stepped up majorly in the League Cup final last year, and you could say single-handedly won it for us, who in the first half of the season was scoring goals for fun, struggled with an injury, came back strong, started this season well too, and people love him. They want to offer their children to him, and he was a guy that captured their hearts in a way that you've seen Celtic fans going to Celtic Park with Japan flags, headbands, the whole shebang. He is a hero at Celtic Football Club and deserves to be treated like one. I'll admit he's not been the greatest he has been in his last few games for the club. He definitely hasn't. But that's something that, happens to football players. We want them to be consistently good. We want them to score goals every week, but it just doesn't. Even the best of the best don't do it. Harry Kane, who's dubbed as the best striker in England, or best English striker, I should say, doesn't score every single week. Christ, even Erling Haaland doesn't score every single week. I think that with Kyogo, there's been a big problem because I think that the Champions League, the step up to the Champions League, has really kind of drilled through the missed chances and what they can do to change a game, and maybe that has cost Celtic at times. But that's something that I'm hoping him and the coaching staff at Celtic realise and they take and learn from into the next Champions League campaign. You've got to remember, this was our first stab in the dark in the Champions League under Ange Postecoglou. It was also the first opportunity for many Celtic players in the Champions League, including Kyogo. That step up from the Europa League, from the Conference League that we played in as well against Bodo, and even the Scottish Premiership is huge. And we were playing tough opposition. Yes, I would like to see a more clinical side to him, and I'd like to see these chances being scored, but suddenly, this narrative that's been created by some that he isn't good enough is just sheer nonsense, because he's an incredible footballer. We're incredibly lucky to have him, and this is someone who we all love and cherish, you know what I mean? And to see some of the opinions that have been conjured up on social media just pains me to read. It really does. I feel like we're just such a reactionary fan base at times, and once again, can I just reiterate, not everybody, but some people, I feel like we're so reactionary to it all. He's a gem of a find. He is one of Ange Postecoglou's best signings, and he will return to goal-scoring form. He will score multiple goals in games, and we will all be throwing him up in the air again as if he's the best thing since Larsson. That will happen. Mark my words, we will see that again at Celtic. He's too good a player not to. He's such an intelligent footballer. The qualities that he brings to Ange Postecoglou's system are extremely evident. There's a reason he's the kind of guy that leads the line. And I've seen a lot of criticism coming about recently because he is Ange's favourite. But he's Ange's favourite for a reason. He is the kind of, I think, the epitome of what Ange Ball is. The way that he runs, the way that he presses, the way that he nips in behind defenders, the way he reads the line in the game. That's everything that we've grown to know and love about Ange Ball. You know what I mean? So there's a reason he is the favourite. And I think that he was always, let's not hide away from the fact here, as much as I prefer Giakoumakis, for example, let's not hide away from the fact that he was signed to be the favourite. He was signed to be the star striker. When Giakoumakis came in, Giakoumakis was signed as a backup. Kyogo was always going to be part of that strongest 11, and he was always going to be Ange's pick. And whether or not you agree that he is the strongest pick for up front, he is the manager's. And he was always intended to be that. He's a cracking player. I think some of the opinions are wildly over the line, I think. And I can't wait for him to score goals and shut people up again, because it will happen, and it'll happen in big games. He's that kind of player. And let's talk about Georgios Giakoumakis, someone who also has had a bit of a mixed reaction today due to social media. He took to Instagram early on. He posted this on his Instagram story. It was a picture of him being subbed on in the game last night, with an hourglass emoji above it. Now, this hourglass has become subject to many a theory. And it is quite cryptic, I'm not going to lie. It is what does he mean by this? What does the hourglass suggest? Some suggesting that it is an hourglass counting down to his Celtic departure. Some suggesting on the positive side, maybe it's an hourglass counting down to his new contract. My theory was, and you know what, I don't want to read into it too much. It's a fucking Instagram post story, you know what I mean? And like, he once again is a player who's good enough to get back into this starting 11 when he's chosen next to start and score goals. And then it'll all be forgotten about and no one will care. And whether he leaves or not, it's a different story. But my theory was, you know what, it's a picture of him standing on the sidelines waiting to come on. Maybe it's just an hourglass suggesting he was waiting to come on. You know? That was my thinking. And I don't think it has to be as deep as what some people are making it out. And a lot of people obviously think it's criminal right now he's not getting the chances to start over Kyogo, because Kyogo hasn't been in that kind of goal-scoring form. Ultimately, Kyogo did score last night. But I think with Giakoumakis, the thing is, I think a lot of people have now got this idea that he's destined to leave, and they're desperate for us to do anything to make him stay. If Georgios Giakoumakis' mind is set on leaving the club, he'll go. And we will replace him. He's a quality player, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy to replace him. It's not going to be easy to replace him. The qualities that he brings is unbelievable. But we need to be ready for things like this. He's a 28-year-old striker who has got value for scoring goals. The goals will eventually dry up. His age will catch up with him, and the value is going to go down. It's only right that Celtic maybe consider selling options. But because he might be leaving, I don't think we need to start panicking and being desperate about how many games he's starting or not. Once again, we're in a very good position as to the two players we've got. I would love to see him start the next game, and I think he deserves the chance to start the next game. But I think because he isn't, it's sparked this sort of miniature war online as to what strikers should. And to be honest, I think that both players are certainly above that. Both players need each other. Both players need each other to push each other on. And competitiveness within the squad is important to creating this Celtic side that we know just now. The qualities that we see from it, because we have got such competition in every position. And that's no different for the strikers. Those two are above all that. You can speculate all you like about this Instagram post, but I think both players will be in training, professional as always, ready for each game. And that goes for Giakoumakis. I don't think that the Insta post is going to be anywhere near as deep as what some suggest. If he leaves, he leaves. He will leave with all my best wishes, because I absolutely love him, and I'll be sad to see him go. But it's just one of those things that Ange just told us about, not get attached to a player. We've got to be ready for the evolution of this club, and these things will sort of happen. But yeah, so Giakoumakis, Kyogo, both fantastic players. Just enjoy them, man. That was my reference to Rio Ferdinand when he was talking about Ronaldo and Messi, in case some of you didn't understand why I changed accent. In conclusion, I think we all need to settle a little bit and just calm down. We are literally... honestly, none of this will be going on if we win the derby in a second. Nobody will give a rat's arse. But the thing is, if we don't win in the second, and none of these strikers score, I don't even want to know what the reaction's going to be like. We're 9 clear just now. Come on, lighten up a bit. We're doing well. As I said, you can never be too comfortable. Just because you're 9 clear doesn't mean everything's okay. But I think that there is a reaction being created out of nothing in regards to the two strikers at the moment. And some of the treatment and some of the things being said about them are unbelievable, especially Kyogo. I don't get it. How can you go from being the best thing from sliced bread and so loved to not being good enough? I don't understand. I don't. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Agree with me if you like. If you don't, then suppose everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's me. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. See y'all next time.